fellow Jujutsu sorcerers, and welcome to King of the What Now, the one show where we know that the only thing that the Jujutsu Kaisen anime really needs to be great is some kind of a tournament arc. Someone should let the creators know about that idea. Today we will be looking at a specific scene from the Jujutsu Kaisen anime, and I'm your host Joel, and also my domain expansion is the ability to turn the surrounding area into an RPG-style video game, and you have to level up, and that makes your attack stronger. And I'm realizing now that that's exactly the same power as one of the characters from Kamen Rider Ex-Aid. So hopefully this video will not be taken down for copyright infringement. I meant no infringement upon copyright. So, fun fact, I actually wrote this script quite a while ago when Kat and I were first going through the Jujutsu Kaisen anime, and then I just didn't quite like how it was coming out, and so I never got around to releasing it on the channel. But now, with Season 3 airing and streaming, I think that it would be the perfect time to brush off that script, see if I can make it a little better, and release it to the public. I am looking back at one of my favorite scenes from the first two seasons of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's pretty early on, and I'll try not to spoil anything from past that, but if you're listening, I'm guessing that you're probably watching the current season that's airing now. So what scene do I want to talk about? What scene resonates with me particularly? It is from episode 13 of the first season. It is when Mahito first uses his domain expansion. And in fact, if you are unfamiliar or you want to rewatch the scene, as I've rewatched it a completely normal number of times, the Crunchyroll account on YouTube has it as Mahito's domain expansion. And honestly, it's just that part of the fight that, really excites me. The rest of it is good. Don't get me wrong, Jujutsu Kaisen has a lot of bangers. But this episode, this scene in particular, speaks to me. And so I want to share that joy with you, maybe break down some of the elements, and maybe there's something in there that I noticed that you didn't. Again, maybe I've watched this clip a completely normal number of times, and maybe you've watched it less than that. And of course, we have to keep in mind that a well-executed scene is a bit like a fine meal, or maybe even just a sandwich or a soup, right? There's lots of different ingredients, and if some of those ingredients are missing, or they're the wrong ingredients, or they're poor quality, then the overall quality of the sandwich is lessened. I mean, think about it. You've probably watched some kind of anime where the animation wasn't great, even though the ideas behind it were, or maybe the voice acting cast was putting their all into it. Maybe you've seen a scene that was well animated and had good voice acting, but the music was kind of off. Any one of these things being off can affect the enjoyment of the scene. So I'm going to walk through all of the ingredients that I think make this wonderful. And what's even funnier is I would consider part of what makes this scene so great is not even what you would consider one of the ingredients. I guess this is more like when you go to the store to buy the ingredients, and you want to make sure that you buy the high quality ingredients for your sandwich, right? If you get lettuce that is several days old and is starting to fall apart and is looking kind of gross, maybe that's not going to have as much of a culinary effect as fresh lettuce. And in this case, what I'm talking about is the build-up to this scene. The scene itself is great, but the build-up is also an essential part of it. I think this is something we can all agree upon, but just to, put it out there in case you haven't thought about it before, but a fight scene in a shonen battle manga or anime, whichever it is, it's not just about the fights, So you might think that the coolest thing an anime character can do is kick so hard that flames burst out of their feet, or to punch 1,000 times in a second. And if you saw a scene where someone did that, you'd probably be really hyped. That'd be exciting. Of course it would. But consider, what if the main character's best friend has been mortally wounded by the bad guy, by the antagonist of the scene, and he will die if he doesn't receive medical attention, and the main character wants to, pick up best friend and take him to the hospital, but now the enemy is standing in the way, and there's only one exit out of the room. Now things are really tense, and when he does the 1,000 punches in a second, it's even more impressive, and it feels amazing. Mashal has a great scene that goes into that, but this is not the episode where I talk about that particular scene from Mashal. So my point is that even though the action is the centerpiece of a shonen battle scene, there are still other elements that can make each of those punches hit all the harder. And so we look at our boy Junpei, right? Junpei had kind of a rocky start. He was friends with Yuji. We liked him. He kind of started to go a little wrong, right? He was misled by Mahito when he thought that he was going to use his powers to enact revenge. Yuji was finally getting through to him. We know that, a lot of these sorts of shows have redemption arcs for characters, and if he really, is sorry, then maybe there's hope for him. And then Mahito just murders him, just murks him right in front of us, and in a pretty heart-wrenching sort of way, right? He body transmorgifies him, and Junpei, he has one of his last words is, Yuji, and he's clearly in pain. And so now we're extra mad at Mahito. We already don't like Mahito. He's a cursed spirit. We blow those things up. We exorcise them. But now we want to punch him even harder because of the awful things that he's done. Think of Joffrey from Game of Thrones, right? We hated that twerp. Another part that's so great about the buildup is that so far, after Junpei's death, the fight between Yuji and Mahito has been relatively even, with Mahito kind of in the lead. Right? There was that first initial punch that Mahito didn't try to dodge, and then it hurt him because, he can touch the shape of my soul. But after that moment, Mahito is never really in a position where he's losing. First, he is getting hit by Yuji, or it's hard to tell from the framing, but he's either getting hit, but they're not like quite solid hits, or he's dodging out of the way when he has like his wings in the school or whatever. So he's not really taking any damage there. There's the part when Yuji's kind of like pounding him into the ground, but really while he's doing that, he's just attacking a decoy, and if someone else hadn't interfered, that would have been the end of Yuji, potentially. All of the other solid hits that Yuji is getting in on, he's getting skewered through his hands and through his chest, and our boy is not winning. And we want him to win, and we feel this kind of sense of desperation. And so if we ever get to a point where the tides turn, that's even more triumphant, that's even more exciting. Heck yeah, that's what we want. And speaking of the moment when Yuji almost could have lost this fight, when he might have had his career as a shonen battle protagonist ended abruptly, someone shows up to help him, and it's my dad! Nanami is my favorite character in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm pretty sure. I think there's like 2 other people that might almost be as good as him, but every scene he's in is made better by his appearance. I do not feel that way about Jogo. Not every scene that Jogo is in is made better by Jogo's appearance here. And so that's a personal preference, right? Like some people prefer pepperoni on their pizza, and some people prefer maybe olives, I guess. You can't really say that one is better than the other. I can say which one I prefer. So Nanami being here is something that speaks to me personally. It's a personal preference, but it's something else that makes me very excited because I love him so much, and I just want to see more of him. Every time he's on screen, it's a little delight. I do a little clap. Haha. There he is. There's my dad. One more thing that I want to touch on before I start describing maybe the blow-by-blow of the scene itself is the frickin' music. This music is the hero of the dish if you're making a meal or a really fine dish, right? It is the most important driving force. If it weren't there, I don't know if the scene would hit as hard as it did. If it was off, like I mentioned earlier, then I think that the scene would suffer. And so it's just, I want to talk about the scene in order, right? I want to start at the beginning, I want to say this part's cool, and then I want to go on to the next part, but the music is a constant that perfectly matches the mood of this fight scene, and I just love it. The other thing that they do throughout this scene, twice, quite near the beginning and then quite near the end, is sometimes they will slow motion the fight, or at least it feels slow motion to me. At that very beginning, when Mahito says, hey, did you kill them? It feels like everything is moving in slow motion, and that's kind of when the music is at its most even. You'll have to forgive me, I don't know very much music terminology, so I'm probably going to say things wrong, or if you're a music meister, you might say like, oh, you clearly meant to use this word, but you don't even know the word. Well, forgive me. However, at the beginning of the scene, it's really kind of even, and there's minimal instruments playing. And then once the scene actually starts, once things start moving back in regular motion, the music kicks up a little bit. And so that's kind of a neat little thing that I think it builds the tension, right? It goes from Mahito taunting Yuji, slow motion, everything's moving kind of slow, and then the action kicks in, things are moving at regular speed. And I just think that that's a really nice touch. The other thing about the music, which by the way is appropriately named Self-Embodiment of Perfection after Mahito's domain expansion, but there's a motif of clapping if you listen really carefully to it. I couldn't hear it very much in the scene itself, but when I listened to it on Spotify, it's there. You can hear clapping in the background. And I think that that motif is important for two reasons. One, there's obviously a connection between Mahito and hands. That's like his main thing. And when he does do his domain expansion, there's a lot of clapping going on and hands like grasping each other and such. But also very importantly, we want Mahito to get his ass kicked. We want him to be curb stomped. And so the clapping, I think in my mind, also suits the, yeah, get him kind of energy that you have throughout this scene. But now I can get to the actual action of this scene, right? Nanami falls down, Nanami's attacking Mahito, Yuji's attacking Mahito, and something that I think is a really nice touch is how perfectly synchronized they are. The reason Mahito is stuck, the reason why Mahito will eventually be like, I can't escape, is because anytime he's getting hit by one of the two combatants, the other one is already winding up for the follow-up attack. He's getting combo-womboed, he cannot escape, and they are just beating the ever-loving shit out of him. And of course, another important factor in that synchronization is the fact that Nanami did the anime mentor trope of like, you'll never meet my expectations, right? Aizawa kind of does that in My Hero Academia. There must be other examples. Oh, Kakashi and Naruto does it as well, you know, like, oh, no one's ever completed my initiation exam, and then Naruto's team ends up being the first one to ever be able to pass it. Nanami had that moment too, where you'll never meet my expectations, I will never give you my approval. But now in this scene, not only are they fighting together, not only are they shoulder to shoulder, but they're in sync. It shows a nice synergy between them that has been built through the mentorship and their time together working on this case of the cursed spirit. Now, as cathartic as it is to see Mahito just getting punched and kicked and attacked with that cleaver thing that Nanami uses, there's also another really important part. It's as Mahito realizes he can't escape. He asks himself, he goes, what is this feeling? Is this death? And the inner monologue is important because it is Mahito's true thoughts. If Mahito out loud said, oh, that hurt so bad, he might be genuine. He might have been hurt by whatever attack hit him, or he might be being sarcastic, or he might be lying in order to lure the hero into a trap of some sort where they think their attack worked, but it didn't. But the inner monologue is honest. So you know he's getting his ass kicked. And when he asks, is this death, it's even more deeper than that. It's not only he can't escape, it's not only that he's losing, it's that he might actually stop existing. And I also love the way that the kanji dominates the entire screen, right? You just get simple red text on a black background, and that shows how much the thought is dominating Mahito. It's not just one of many considerations. It's the only thing he's thinking of right now. It's the only signal his body is sending to his brain. It's, you are going to die. And of course, like with any proper anime fight, it's never too one-sided. A fight is more exciting if there's kind of like ups and downs, backs and forths, and that sort of thing. That's why so many, like JoJo's, right? In JoJo's, it'll be like, aha, I used this attack in order to set my hand on fire, and then the bad guy goes, oh, I knew that I could use this attack to take away the fire from your attack. It's this back and forth and escalation. And so far, in this scene, since Nanami and Yuji got the jump on him, it's been a completely one-sided beatdown. But, you know, he's falling back, his eye kind of rolls back into his head, it looks like he's down, but then you hear that laughter of his, that demented, like, he's not human, he's enjoying this in a way that he shouldn't, and his eye snaps open, and you know something's going to happen. I'm describing the scene in such detail that, this happens over the course of a couple of seconds, but it primes you. It's telling you thought he was stuck in a corner, but somehow he might be able to get out of this corner. The other thing, too, that you'll notice as he's contemplating whether this is death, as the inner monologue gets the focus and it's no longer so much about the individual punches, that's not the importance of what's on screen, the music kind of evens out again, right? It started slow, then the beatdown happened and it picked up and it got more intense, and now it's plateauing is the term I would use. And that kind of shows that we're switching to a more thoughtful view of this situation, right? We're not focused on the action, we're not getting pumped, we're kind of like going into his mind and seeing what his thoughts are. What is Mahito's line? Again, it's a black screen and all you can see are the words, "I bet I could do it now." And I think that everyone kind of immediately recognized what that phrase does, what it means. In this moment, Mahito has become the protagonist of a shonen battle. Usually we have, Midoriya or Luffy or Naruto trying to use some technique, and in the middle of the battle they go, "Oh, I get it now," and they use the attack, and we're like, "Yeah, you did it, buddy! You trained so hard to be able to do full cowling or gear second or whatever the case may be," right? Right now, Mahito is occupying that same space. He's like, "Oh, I've been working on something. I think I can do it now." I got actual goosebumps the first time I watched this scene. Even though I want Mahito punched into the ground till there's nothing left of him but sludge, I still had a moment of like, holy shit, this is going to go so hard. And then the music to reinforce that, it goes full throttle. It's hitting you, it's loud, all of the instruments are coming back. It is no longer on the plateau. It is again reaching towards a new peak, and the energy is just incredible. And of course, the other thing is we're back in slow motion. I told you, it comes back in near the end of the scene because I think the implication is that if the next attack were to land, that would be lights out. Those would be the final blow that would defeat Mahito, but it goes in slow motion to show that just a split second before they can finish him, he activates this new technique. And it's just incredible. I don't really have much else to say about the actual hands that appear. It is a nice touch that he pushes Yuji away because he doesn't want Yuji in his domain. Meanwhile, the hands kind of trap Nanami. But, other than that, it's an artist who really knows how to draw hands, drawing a lot of hands. Good for them. I wish that I had that kind of a skill. And those are all of the different ingredients that the chef used in order to create this delicious dish for us that I personally enjoy. I know that there are other amazing scenes in Jujutsu Kaisen, but this one is the one that speaks the most to me and gets me the most hyped, even though there are other scenes which might have action on a larger scale, or maybe the stakes are higher, that sort of thing. I hope that you can understand why I enjoyed this scene so much, and hopefully I've given you a new appreciation of it. If you're listening to this essay on YouTube, if you wanted to, you could tell me what your favorite scene from the Jujutsu Kaisen anime is. Stick to seasons 1 and 2, please. We haven't started season 3 in this household. We'll get to it, but I'd rather focus on the first 2 seasons. Thanks so much and have a great day.